Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the south-afrifur podcast. You're speaking to myself, Ivik, my co-host, Scratch,
Yo.
and our guest from England, is it? Whereabouts?
UK, yes.
Yeah. All right. Who's also Turkish. But he'll obviously explain that to us throughout the podcast. So you're also, his name is Tarkan. Wow, sorry.
Yeah, it took you a while.
Yeah, Tarkan. Tarkan from Turkey. Tarkan to Turkey for Turkey is apparently the word that I should be using right now.
Who said that?
Turkish first.
Who said that? Badge said that.
Ugh, Badge, come on, man.
Yeah, Badge is talking to me. He's like, "Oh no, so he's a furky?" I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, let's not insult our guest.
Well, we haven't yet, I don't think. Well, we'll get there though.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Mhm.
We always do.
You haven't insulted me, don't worry.
Good to know.
Yeah. So, Badge has actually responded almost immediately with a sweat drop face. Well done. Okay, so you're maybe just go through that background for us again, like as to sort of like your roots and how you sort of connect to the Turkish furry fandom.
Okay. Well, good evening, good afternoon, everybody, whoever may be listening all over the world. This is Tarkan the Wolf. I am a British Turkish furry, born in the UK in the early 80s, and I'm a proud Turk. I'm proud to be Turkish and so forth, as well as somewhat British. But I'm I'm a geek and a nerd, as most of us are. And of course, all my life I loved cartoons, including anime. And I'm a retro gamer. And back in 2010, 2009, 2010, I got myself into the furry fandom. But of course, I knew about it before then. I just didn't get out the threshold and decided to get into the furry fandom. But my time in the furry fandom has been reasonable. I've been to most conventions. I've been to Anthrocon. I've been to Eurofurence, Confuzzled, just for the weekend. That's a new furry convention in UK. And also I've been to fur meets like London Furs, and I've been to the Netherlands and so forth. I didn't go any fur meets, but I've been to anime conventions. As for Turkey, in the furry fandom, I've in the last 5 years, I decided to, there was a niche basically. The furry fandom 5 or 6 years ago did not exist, or exist in very small pockets. There were Turkish furs who were more aligned to America, so they were making a lot of friends with American furs, German furs, and so forth. But there weren't many of their own Turkish brethren of furs to talk to. So I decided to myself, right, in 2010, I opened Turkish Furs Fur Affinity page. And then as years went by, I found lots of people flocking to my page. I made partnerships with other furry groups in different countries. I've opened a Facebook group in the last few years, which will have 108 members so far. But the majority of furs in Turkey right now are below 18, which is going to take years because of this, it's going to take years for it to grow. Because my ultimate goal hopefully before 2020, is to start Turkey's first furry convention. That will be hopefully in Istanbul, Turkey's biggest city. But obviously, first of all, we need to start some fur meets. I do travel to Turkey now a few times in a year, and I got family there and so forth. Anyway, that's enough from me. I'll put it back to whoever is next.
But Ivik is here. Oh, right, I'm not here. Oh, sorry.
What are you doing?
I'm not on first stream apparently right now. I haven't logged in.
You fool.
It says I'm offline on the stream. What is that?
It's probably just something with Skype that's being annoying or something. I don't know.
Okay.
But we're good. We're still
Yeah.
streaming.
Mm-hmm. 5.
I'm
Sorry.
in control.
So, no, I mean, like and I mean, like, I guess with the age gap, I'm assuming, and this is probably going to be the massive assumption of the week. You're around about what, in your 20s, late 20s, 30s?
Early 30s.
I was born in 1984.
Uh-huh.
I'm 32. But as I said, there are a few furs who are above 18 in Turkey and outside of Turkey who I'm friends with. But it's not enough because we need to find more. The demographics needs to be sufficient enough to create a broad furry fandom in Turkey, because right now, obviously, youngsters below 18 are no good because obviously they're too young to come to fur meets or conventions. So you have to wait out a few years until otherwise other furs who are over 18 who will find us, who will get into the fandom, will hopefully change in the next year or so, I'm hoping.
But, and I guess maybe we just sort of like shoot the elephant in the room, like right at the beginning. I mean, obviously there's a large amount of political unrest in like both Turkey and surrounding areas at this point.
Yes.
Like, how does that affect like the fandom itself? Like, does it feel as though like people might be wanting to leave Turkey, or because I know that we have a very similar sort of experience in South Africa, not necessarily for like fear of our lives, but more fear of our livelihood. Considering the ethnicity of the vast majority of our furries here in South Africa, a lot of people want to leave. A lot of people want to try to find greener pastures off in other places when you can literally plant the grass here.
But we have a crazy
Yeah.
brain drain going on at this point. Like, a lot of
Yeah.
people who are
Right.
quite skilled are ditching South Africa because of like a lot of socio-economic reasons.
Okay. Ivik, Scratch, let me explain something to you guys. Yes, I feel your pain. In Turkey right now, in the last 5 years or so, even longer, our youngsters in Turkey right now, and I've been banging on about this for ages, there is a brain drain in Turkey right now where our most talented and skilled youngsters emigrate to America or Europe, Australia, wherever it may be they go. And it causes a huge brain drain. The universities in Turkey are falling apart. There's not enough decent jobs to go around.
Yeah.
And if you haven't got the skilled people to teach, to create business, to create the economy, where's that going to come from? Well, it come from the babies, or it come from the old age pensioners? You know, these people are selfish. You know, they need to build their country and you know, continue to love their country and build the economy, build businesses, because instead of taking your mindset and your skills elsewhere to benefit one other country, you should stay in your own country to form a business, employ people, and grow the economy. And people will have jobs and everyone will be happy. But there's a lot of Turks out there, including some Turkish furries I know. They're telling me, or some of them, one guy I knew, he actually left. He's in America right now on the West Coast. And I begged him, don't leave. Why are you leaving? You know, he said he's scared. He says there's no jobs, there's this and that. I said, dude,
Wow.
you have to listen, you know, please, you know, reconsider, because, you know, you have, if you, I don't know how to explain this, but yeah.
Yeah.
If you're
I
not
think
part
we
of
do
the,
understand this. This is
Essentially-
this is good though.
yeah, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
Yeah, because they don't, people don't misunderstand me, but a lot of these people, they'll go elsewhere and try and get more money. You know, it's all money, right? But okay, the pay in Turkey is not as brilliant compared to the rest of the Western world. But little people realize that Turkey is not a third world country; it's a first world country, and it has a lot of people think that that I was a decadent and run down place. But no, if you have actually visited Istanbul, you actually see a lot of Western style streets and shops and lovely shopping centers, and everything you could ever ask for is like if you were getting in the West would be in Turkey.
No, I mean, like, and I guess the issue stands is that, like, I mean, we talk about first world and third world, and then the people who are developing nations. And we speak about it like that. I mean, if you come to Pretoria, for instance, you're probably not going to be able to find a, lion outside of captivity anywhere close to about 300 to 500 kilometers in the radius of where Gauteng actually is, like outside of captivity. And like that's the thing. Like you look at our major centers of business, and you're looking at exactly the same thing. You're looking at massive hubs of people in specific areas, all working towards specific jobs, doing specific things, like higher, I guess what you could call like higher tier jobs. I mean, like lecturing, for instance, engineering and Scratch's sort of field.
I'm a game designer, dude.
Like, I mean, yeah, exactly, dude. Well, I mean, you studied engineering. You just finished your bloody masters, for God's sakes. It's not like it's impossible to be able to get there. It's just that like the issue that generally stands is that there aren't enough people who are willing to voice their anger within the country. Because you hear expats and you watch expats leave, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, no, I made a very good choice leaving, and somehow I've already picked up the American accent, and all we're gonna do is we're gonna have some fun on this side. But the thing is that I can't get a job here either.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Well, and then
like that kind of thing.
People should use their minds. If they want to do something, they should do the things they love. They should do their own businesses. Therefore, they can employ their friends, they can employ other people, give people sense and hope that somebody's actually loving their country and doing business and stopping the brain drain at the same time. It's common sense. That's how I see it.
We'd think that it's that easy. I mean, it's so difficult to get loans for things like this. I mean, and I guess with the furry population as it is, and especially in South Africa, you hear it very, very often. I'm not sure how often you heard that side, but people go, "Oh no, I'm going to create like a conglomerate business for this. I'm going to be able to make like nothing but lucrative things for the entire furry community." And you kind of sit there going like, there isn't a market inside here, and who's going to try to firstly battle with the kinds of import costs that, I mean, like, it doesn't matter if your fursuit costs, say, what's it, 1,500 US dollars, or even less.
I like what Rakuin has said.
Yeah. So in that same sense, Rakuin, yeah, maybe we'll talk about that as well. But like, I'll just finish this point quickly. And the thing is that like once you import the thing from the place that you're buying it from, you're paying exactly the same amount of money that you would have for a higher class or higher tier, like fursuit. And that money doesn't go to the fursuit maker; it goes to the freaking border costs.
Yeah.
And God, I hate those.
Yeah, you mean customs?
Yeah.
Yeah, customs.
Fucking 50% import costs. Yeah, 50% of the tax on. The customs tax for textiles coming into the country is 50%. Shirts cost 50% extra as soon as it crosses the border.
Yeah. Especially if you label it as clothing.
Yeah.
Holy, because we have our own initiatives. In South Africa, it's buy local because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Then create a damn Calvin Klein factory in freaking Cape Town, for God's sakes, if you want us to buy local. Like, yeah, I mean, not that I really wear Calvin Klein and not that I'm that opulent, but the thing is that, like, it's really fucking expensive to buy a Lacoste shirt. And then you go to Saudi Arabia and you buy a Lacoste shirt. My dad literally buys Lacoste shirts every other day. Like, every now and again, he comes down and he's like, "Oh, yeah, no, I bought this. It doesn't fit me here." And I'm just sitting there going like, "But Dad, it's like a Lacoste shirt. Like, I wear these all the time. But I wear them for work."
Yeah.
But like the thing is that you buy it here, you're paying 1,500 rand for a freaking golf tee. That's a lot of money. And
you're talking about. Sorry to interrupt.
No, go for it.
You guys were originally talking about importing fur. Is that right?
Yeah.
I wish we could do that.
Oh,
Well,
so you guys have a problem?
other companies import fur for us. But the thing is that with the rising inflation costs, rising taxes on importing textiles, you're looking at, and I mean, this is one of the main issues that one of our fursuit makers has been having, is that he cannot necessarily keep a competitive price, or not even a competitive price. He can't keep a
locally attractive
fair
price.
a locally attractive price for furries if he has to continually buy imported fur.
Yeah. It's see in Turkey, the young lady who built her own fursuit, she imported the fur from America, and she had no problem getting it to Turkey. Okay, paid a little bit of tax, but who cares? But it didn't cost a lot of money. So I know two furries who actually, and these are young, these are like 14, 15-year-olds. They built their own fursuits, and that is a first in Turkey.
And again, whose bankroll does this come off of? Their parents?
Of their parents, of course, yeah.
So in other words, their parents are funding a business. Do you have any idea how cool that sounds? rather than selling or giving a business to your son or daughter, let them run their own business for a while and then see if they're actually good enough to manage yours.
There is one young lady I know in America. She's like me. She's born in America and she's Turkish ethnicity. She's famous in Anthrocon. She won the dance competitions. Her name is Yamashizen. She built her own fursuits and she sold them to others and so forth. And for the last 3 or 4 years, she has really made a name for herself with her fursuits and her dancing capabilities at Anthrocon, and I think other conventions in America as well. And she knows me quite well. So I was in Anthrocon back in 2013. I know it's such a long time ago, but I'm thinking about going back next year because I really missed that place. I had the best fun ever at Anthrocon. I really want to go back.
The South-afrifur convention.
What you guys thinking about a convention?
It's not even thinking about. Like, we've finished the basic amount of planning that we have so far for it.
You're kidding me.
I'm to South Africa.
Wow.
Even Raven's coming down from England.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yes. Well, I better hurry up and.
So let's save
Well, we'll send you the website offline.
Sure.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Actually, we want to get to Rakuin's sort of perspective here, and obviously he looks at the idea of globalization, and it's sort of, I guess I've got two perspectives on this, and like I fall on the one side where it looks at the idea of culture and culturally sort of like viable things versus globalization, where globalization literally looks at like pretty much lingua franca. It does, and it doesn't matter how much you argue against it, it does look at the entire idea that culture will die with all the languages that will die with it. There's a theory right now that says that out of the 6,909 languages that we have, 90% of those languages will die by the end of the century. And with that, 6,900, like about 6,600, no, 6,000 languages will just be gone.
You know what they say? They say it's boring being the same. And if it comes down to everybody being the same, becoming one culture, one language, it would be so boring. I mean, there has to be some diversity between different cultures, different languages, and so forth. I'm very proud to be Turkish, and I am not 100% fluent in Turkish, but I can get a by with it. No matter what, I'm never going to give up my heritage for nothing, because there's a lot of people in this country, in the UK, you know how diverse it is. There are people in the UK of different ethnicities throw their heritages out the window and don't give a damn. Myself and many others, they want to keep their heritages and their languages and their religion and whatever it may be. Because I am a Muslim. I do see myself as a Muslim. I mean, people saying, "Oh, religion is dying. Or religion is out of date," and this and that. But anyway, I won't go on about that too much. But
no. That's an interesting point to go into at some point. I think we'll circle back to that eventually. Now, obviously, Rakuen seems to be very, very heavily for the entire idea of globalization, and you can see it by the way that he comments here. Why should people suffer to try and fix a place just because they were born there by chance? Or if a language is to communicate the multiple languages, defeats the purpose of communication if language is to communicate. But in that same sense, we have English as a second language, and that's technically the lingua franca. It doesn't mean that your language should die. If we look at the entire idea that there is the re-emergence of Celtic, for instance, in Britain, if we look at the re-emergence of Latin in very, very specific places, say in Rome and things like that, we look at the re-emergence of specific languages. But the thing is that when a language dies, the richness of the culture that was there beforehand dies with it. And it's one of the things that I like. It's all well and good that we're able to communicate with everybody across the globe. But the thing is that it becomes, and like you said, it becomes boring. To have to hear somebody like give you this homogenous response. Oh yeah, no, I'm a furry. I'm from Turkey, but I believe in the U.S. ways, or something like that. Or
No,
I was raised American, or I was raised like this. It's and the thing is that like maybe I will say that I was privileged to be to have like been brought up in both South African context and a U.S. context, and honestly, for the vibrance and the amount of people that I get to spend time with. My students constantly, for instance, surprise me with little facts about their own cultures and how they react to specific things. And I love hearing about it. In fact, there was a game that was recently released called Never Alone that was a story. Yeah.
The Inuit
It
one.
was a story about, about the Inuit, but about a little Inuit girl and the spirit that followed her around while she was completely and utterly alone out in the tundra. And every single time, like you get these little like story points where you hear, it's around about over 30 minutes of interview with people of the culture, and hearing what they have to say about their culture is absolutely, it's amazing. And it's the reason why we want to go to places like Eurofurence or, you know, Anthrocon or Furdu, for instance, because the thing is that like the cultures are as rich as they can be, and there's only so much you can actually get through, you know, typed text and, you know, YouTube videos about your culture. I want to hear it from you, for instance. Like the way that you speak about being Turkish and the way that you speak about your heritage and everything in respect to that, and even like going as far as to admit the entire idea that you would be Muslim. And like here in South Africa, for instance, I've had nothing but awesome conversations in the Western Capes, in the Western Cape with Muslim people. They're really, really nice people.
Yeah.
And we don't give ourselves the time of day if we continually believe things from a Western perspective.
Yeah, but yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and it's just the furry fandom. I love don't get me wrong. Look, I love the furry fandom. It's diverse. It's fun. It brings in many different skills and some sort of sense of family. But as you know, a lot of furs complain about the drama and the hate and this and that and this and that. But you know, there's certain things in the furry fandom I do not like, but I won't diverge into that. But I love the fandom because I grew up with anthropomorphic animal cartoons in my time, and in the 80s and 90s there were fantastic cartoons for anthropomorphic animals.
Oh, hell yeah.
I won't, it's a long list, but I won't go into that. But yeah.
Oh, do divulge. It's always fun.
Oh, okay. Let me think. Denver, the Last Dinosaur. What else is there? Oh, my brain is gone.
Mine was a little
I can't think.
Mine was a little bit more situated in the 2000s, but still stuff like
I don't know how old you guys are, but yeah.
1988 respectively.
Oh, okay. Then you must remember most of the 80s and 90s cartoons. But I'm a big fan of the 80s and 90s cartoons. I'm quite nostalgic.
Blood Rovers.
Yes.
Blood Rovers is my favorite.
Rocko's Modern
and
Life.
Samurai Pizza Cats.
Yes.
Yes.
Sunrise Pizza Cats. Yes. Oh yes, I'm very happy. I love that one. That was anime, by the way.
Yeah,
and
they lost the script and they decided to just go with it.
yes, yes, yes. But there's many famous British cartoons that I loved as well, that were aired in some European countries, and even America. But I wish I could do this one day. I really want to, as Japanese is famous for its anime, I want to create, if I ever have the money or time, I want to create the Turkish animation industry. And the reason I'm saying this is because I believe it can work. Yeah, it will put Turkey on the map. Many people around the world love Turkey. They love visiting Turkey. They love the culture. They love the buildings. They love the holiday side of not the touristic Istanbul side of things, but when you go to places like Bodrum and Antalya and other parts of southeastern and southern Turkey, the beaches are absolutely fantastic. I've been going there since I was a young lad, going to Turkey every summer to see family and to have fun in the sun. Hello?
Yeah, we're here. We're still
Oh,
here.
sorry. I thought what's happened? I thought no one's saying anything. But
Oh, we're
yeah,
enthralled.
so okay. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, you see, with the Turkish furries right now, I am trying so hard with my blood, sweat, and tears to try and build the Turkish furry fandom. But a lot of the youngsters who are furries in my Facebook group right now, I don't mean to, give them a bad name or anything, but a few of them have a go at me and they say to me, "Oh, your Turkish isn't brilliant. Oh, this and that, this and that." And I thought, okay, why you guys are making fun of me? Hey, you guys didn't bother creating a furry fandom. I spread my blood, sweat, and tears to bring you the furry fandom to Turkey. Yet you abuse your loyalty and make fun of the guy who actually brought the furry fandom to Turkey because you guys didn't bother to do it. I did.
Yeah.
And I went out there and I wanted to do this because I believe the furry fandom in Turkey will work. And there's a lot of furs in the West, in America, in Germany, in Holland, and wherever it may be. They turned around and said to me, "Nope, the furry fandom will not work in Turkey." And I said to them, "How do you know?"
What?
How do you know? Yeah, because they made me angry. Yeah, because they say, "Oh, because it's an Islamic country." So hold on a minute. Turkey is a democratic, secular country. Religion doesn't interfere with politics.
For now,
Okay.
unfortunately.
No. Hold on. No. Well, we'll see.
Well, look,
But,
I mean, the thing is that what was it last year? You guys, there was when they were trying to do the sort of annual gay parade that had been going on for years, mind you. And the thing is that that is the problem at this point. Is that like they came in with tanks with water tanks that
okay, this
and
year.
they attempted to disrupt the entire march
Okay.
because they thought that was what they were going to be able to do.
Okay, this year there were a few attacks on people in the gay parade, and the people are attacking the people marching, saying, "We don't want this in Turkey. We don't want this in Turkey." They were saying, these people. Well, in my opinion, just let them be. Let them get on with it. So they're free to express themselves and so forth. That's fine. Turkey is a democracy. So don't, because many first I've spoken to, they really made me angry. They said to me, "Oh, is Turkey like Iran? Is Turkey like Saudi Arabia?" And I said, "No, absolutely not." And, I know Erdogan isn't the most popular person in Turkey, president right now.
Yeah.
But so anyway.
I'm going to ask a question sort of related to that. With that kind of mentality of the people outside of Turkey, does being as, I guess, and I'm just saying this based off your approach to this, does coming across as this combative towards it aid or make it worse when it comes to being like this combative against people like that who ask these kinds of questions?
Who, me or?
Yeah, So when they come to you with questions, I mean, like,
Dude,
again,
I only
yeah,
speak the truth.
fair. No,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you don't speak the truth. What I'm saying is that it seems like you come across as relatively combative towards people who say things about your country, and it honestly, like, a lot of people who are extremely patriotic, myself included, would possibly say, like, if somebody asked me, oh yeah, no, do you guys drive drive your lion to work or something like that, or ride a wildebeest, or yeah, no, you guys are so fucking poor, you guys live in straw houses, or
Oh dear.
that kind of stuff. And I mean, eventually, yes, it does irritate, but I mean, would being as combative as that necessarily help, or would it hinder the process?
Dude, I'm only trying to look. If I sounded angry, I do apologize, but I don't get angry that often. I just,
Sorry, I'm
uh,
joking.
what?
I said you get even, but I'm joking.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, look, when people are ignorant and don't understand things,
Mm,
people should look up, research things before they open their mouth, because
fair
I don't,
enough.
I don't want, people misunderstanding or to think there's, basically, if people said to me, "Oh, it's Turkey this and Turkey that," and without even researching, then they need to go back and research, because,
Yeah.
it just makes me angry, because people don't, because a lot of people are not really well educated these days. So I mean, I'm quite educated. Raccoon says, if they're asking, then it's the same thing. Well, it depends.
It's possibly the
But
way that they ask the question.
Yeah, I don't know. They say it in a tone of voice I don't like, so if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But
No,
anyway,
I get that completely.
I mean,
Yeah.
what's people in the West, how they react towards Muslims,
Yeah.
sometimes, but not all the time. Don't misunderstand me, but there are a few furs I've met over the years who don't take it too kindly to Muslims. But
That's
anyway,
a
I won't go
shame.
into that. But yeah,
Wow.
especially in the UK. I mean, there's a lot of furs who, yeah, who don't like me. But I don't.
Specifically for being Muslim.
No, I don't know. Maybe it's me. But they tell me, I'm my own worst enemy and so forth. I don't know what they mean by that, but yeah,
Have they ever taken the time to explain it to you?
no, not really. No,
Yeah.
I don't know what they're on about really. I mean, I get involved somewhat in the UK fur community, but I'm actually trying to concentrate on building the Turkish furry fandom, rightly so.
Mhm.
So yeah.
That's fairly noble, I guess. It's a good cause. I guess maybe a lot of people might be looking at the approach rather than the overarching ideology.
Yeah, but
Scratch, do you have anything to ask?
Yeah, not particularly at this point. I'm just sort of
Not
listening in on
particularly.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just listening in on you guys going at it. This is good stuff.
But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I believe, as I said in my talk in Eurofurence back in August, um, I believe that the furry fandom in this half of the decade is going to expand in places that were unthinkable 5 years ago or so. Um, and now, because if Turkey successfully gets its own full-fledged furry fandom, then it will bring hope to bring the furry fandom in places like, I don't know, UAE, or well, at the moment, not any other Middle Eastern countries, but
Possibly India?
yes, India maybe it's too hot there, but
Oh,
yeah,
come on.
you never know.
Partials, man. Partials and large amounts of air conditioning.
But hello, Dan Wolf. I met you in the artist lounge. Yeah, in Eurofurence, I'm assuming. Yeah. So basically, I'm actually going to expand the furry fandom into Central Asia, and this is interesting. You're going to love this. Central Asia, when the Soviet Union fell,
Yeah.
countries emerged from this. Countries like Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan. These are Turkic nations. We share similar languages, culture, and religion, of course. And they were under the iron grip of the Soviet Union for many years. And when they became independent, immediately formed relations to Turkey because, yes, of course, Dark. Yes, I forgot about Malaysia and Thailand. You guys have a furry fandom. So basically, when as it was spread into Central Asia, hopefully we will see more furries in that part of the world come into the fold. But obviously, in Russia, they have a big furry fandom as well.
Would that necessarily create a dichotomy in essence? I mean, like the Russians have furries, but why should we have them? I mean, like why should we sort of take on a specific cultural? Well, actually, you know what? Let me sort of like rework what I'm actually trying to say here. Would you think that on a cultural level? Now, obviously, Russian furries are probably very, very different. I've not really met many. I've met one or two. Russian furries are different from the way that like U.S. furries are. I think they don't necessarily follow a very similar perspective, and I guess that's probably just because of previous disagreements would probably be the term that I would use. And in that same sense, do you think that the furry fandom that you would like to sort of create, would it be more westernized or would it be more culturally based around, I don't know, specific? Are there sort of avenues in culture that one could take to look at the furry aside from the Western culture in respect to all of the sort of Turkish areas?
Okay, I envision a furry fandom in Turkey that will be between East and West. Istanbul is the only country the only city on Earth that's between two continents, Europe and Asia. So they will bring those two together. The furry fandom will be molded in Turkey in its own model. And basically, there's a lot of furries in Turkey right now who are more aligned to what happens in America in terms of the furry fandom. But I believe they should concentrate and help me build a furry fandom in Turkey. Many of them, as I said, too young and or too lazy to help me. At the moment, I'm doing it mostly myself, really. Because as I said, it's early days, and I just want to really make this work. I don't want to fail. It's my baby, and I really want this to work for the better.
Fair enough. As a point, I guess I'm not sure how much help we could be, but if you do need a hand about things, I mean, we've been running since I think formally since around about 2008. And we've been doing what we can to get people in. I personally want to get more of an African sort of contingent within, but I obviously would like to have an African voice to be able to help with that. Because obviously there are, there are many more people than just, us Caucasians, if you can say it like that. And I mean, I know that in America, for instance, because we had a talk with Witchy Bunny, who I think she's mated to one of the people on the con board for Anthrocon.
All right.
And we spoke to her about cultural differences and attempting to get a more African American stamp inside the furry fandom. And again, she's spoken about the fact that when she goes to places like that, she doesn't seem to be as, it's not necessarily not accepted, but she knows very, very, very well that she is definitely the odd one out when it comes to that kind of stuff. And we'd like to, I think we'd like to sort of open up some sort of olive branch thing going. So maybe we can work together on that kind of.
Well, I was speaking to the guy, the South African fur at Eurofrance. What's his name again?
Raccoon.
Sorry. Yeah, Raccoon. Yeah. I asked him a question about the black community in South Africa. if they would get into the furry fandom. But there seems to be little evidence that they either don't know about it or they don't want to know about it.
It's not to say that they don't want to know about it. I think it's general ignorance at this point. But again, this is personal perspective. Raccoon is more than welcome to have his own.
No. Don't misunderstand. But no, hopefully they will get into it, and it would be nice if they got into the furry fandom. But as for the West, I have seen Afro-Caribbean people having fursuits in the UK and involved in the furry fandom. I have met
and dancers.
And dancers, yes. And of course, in America, I've met Afro-Caribbean people who are furries at AnthroCon. I have. There are out there. But obviously, at the moment, it is a Caucasian, dominant. I don't know about dominated, but you know what I mean. Fandom.
It is
right
dominated,
now.
though.
Okay, yeah, I guess so. But hopefully, it will encourage more people who are non-Caucasian into the fandom. Because I see in Turkey, I don't think I mentioned this. In Turkey, our national animal is the grey wolf. And that is why my persona is a grey wolf. And many people obviously identify as a furry from the basis of their own favorite animal or the animal they think they are. We're not going to get a bunch of grey wolves in Turkey right now, but there are many people in Turkey who are cats or dogs or whatever they may be. We love the wolf. It's part of our mythological culture. There's many stories in the past that relate to the grey wolf. I mean, American Indians, for example, they love the wolves. So do we. I can't remember what else I was going to say, but yes, I understand what Rakuin's saying. Yes, that's right. I believe, people should deserve their own identities. I have mine, you have yours, and, that's what they're born with. That's how I see it. Anyway.
I guess the one thing that I think, and this is probably going to get me a lot of flack just now. The one thing that I don't necessarily think Raccoon might necessarily understand in respect to this is that not everybody is at the point where one can remove oneself from one's culture to the point that, oh yes, everybody, you remove your nationalities, remove your cultures, and just become a furry. It doesn't. It never works like that. It's like trying to remove yourself from Christianity at times, or from any sort of like formal religious perspective. That you have to remove yourself from the what one could call in quotation marks bad that your background has created. And I know that a whole bunch of furries that I've met, especially in South Africa, had to battle with the entire idea that our furry community, for instance, is far more heavily, or at least it seems far more heavily non-cisgendered. For instance, and to be able to, as a person who is guided by the religion that is Christianity, that becomes an issue for them. And the thing is that like you have to be able to find a way to bridge that gap without being combative about it. And because being combative about it literally doesn't fix anything, I don't necessarily think. I mean, if it's even if it's like, say, for instance, Raccoon, it should be something above other people's cultures. It should unite people. You should remove your nationality and your ethnicity and just become whatever you want. That in itself is more a directive than it is a request, for instance. And the thing is that it shouldn't even be a directive or a request. You should be whatever you want to be within the purview of what you want to be. So removing your nationality, if you want to be Turkish, then by all rights be Turkish and a furry. In that same sense that I should be considered as an Afrikaans person, although I don't speak the language as often as I technically should to be able to place myself into that position. But I understand the nationality and the idea that comes from that it comes from. I understand, say, for instance, our specific majority church here, and I can agree with a large amount of things that they say, but I disagree very, very heavily on a whole bunch of other things that they do and say. So in that same sense, I'm trying to remove myself from my culture. I'm trying to remove myself from my nationality, but in that same sense, I am a South African furry, and I'm proud to be one, as much as you are proud to be a Turkish furry. But the thing is that we can't necessarily force that idea onto people, because as soon as one begins to force ideas, people lose interest. It's almost like it's like a switch. You say, but you should, and as soon as you say that, people are going to go, oh, I should I? Well, I guess I should stop listening to you.
Okay.
And that's the difficulty that I think that we see is that, like, as soon, and especially with the younger people, because we don't necessarily I say, but when I was younger, I know that when somebody told me something that may in fact have helped me later on in life, and I only realized that it was only to help me later on in life, I lost focus, and I told them, no, I'm not going to do that because you're telling me to do it, so fuck off. And that's kind of the mentality that we have, because we know about individualism, and it's the same thing that we do when we do it with language. When we're given when we as like toddlers look at something and point at it and go, okay, cool. You go, what's that? And your parent would say, no, but that's a dog. Okay, so you then associate all things with fur, all things with whiskers, all things on four legs as dog. Then you point at the cat and you'll go dog. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here?
I'm not sure where you're going with this, but
we overgeneralize what could be good advice as just telling us that we're wrong.
Did I say something wrong?
No. I'm not saying that you said anything wrong. What I'm saying is that, like, when we approach this topic,
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily sure whether, and I'm in a position where I've placed myself where I'm sort of between a rock and a hard place. The rock being Raccoon and you being the hard place. That I want to try to, because Raccoon doesn't necessarily want nationality to be something that influences our decision, and you more look at the entire idea that yes, we should be able to encompass all of these things because we need to be individual or culturally diverse. And I agree with culturally diverse, but I also agree with globalization. But I don't agree with the one overtaking the other.
Yeah.
It should be a balance. There should be a balance, and that's what I'm sort of arguing for. Is that there should be a balance towards the way that we approach.
Yeah, globalization shouldn't mean assimilation.
Yes, exactly that.
Yeah, but I have a problem here in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, as you know, unfortunately, we're in the middle of Brexit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's really going to mess up the country. I voted Remain, and I voted Remain because I voted for peace. Because right now, I hope it doesn't happen. But if Brexit happens in the UK, if we leave the EU, it's really going to mess up this country. I might end up going back to Turkey because it's going to get really bad here if Brexit happens. And it's encouraged all the far-right people to come out and cause abuse. A Polish guy got murdered a few weeks ago in the UK. It's getting really bad here now. And it's fueling far-right nationalism in Europe right now, in France, Germany, and Austria, and Hungary, and places like this. The EU was created to bring peace in Europe. Why do you think it won the Nobel Peace Prize? Things like this is going to ruin the world, and I'm really worried about the future. So I believe in peace throughout the world. I believe in bringing everyone together and so forth. Even though that scenario does happen, if world peace does actually occurs, people should be allowed to retain their own culture and their own religion and their own language and not be assimilated as one. Well, it's up to whoever they want to do, if they do it or not. But people should have the right and not be peer pressured to give up their culture, their heritage, and everything. They should, if they want to carry on their own culture and heritage and so forth, then let them. Don't force them to assimilate to thing. I mean, here in the UK, my Turkish community, we do have one here in the UK. We have 500,000 Turks here in the UK. And basically, unfortunately, the population is going down. Why? Because most Turks who live here in the UK is Turkish Cypriot. That's the northern part of Cyprus, where we Turks live, some Turks live. My mum is from North Cyprus. My dad is from mainland Turkey. And we're the same people, but of course I'm still Turkish. But it's just a lot of the young Turkish Cypriots and middle-aged Turkish Cypriots in this country, born here like me, have chosen to totally abandon who they are. And because of wannabe gangster culture, and because of certain genres, yes, and because of certain genres of music, like hip-hop, rap, R&B, I hate it. No offense to anybody, but I hate it because it has turned all of my fellow Turks into wannabe gangsters. And I've seen it with my own eyes for the last 15 years. When I first went to college, every single young Turk I met were like that. And I didn't find one who were like me. And that really depressed me, and it still depresses me today. So, anyway, sorry, yeah, so anyway, yeah, so it's a really sad story, and and to this day it still depresses me because it has disabled my chances to find, you know, a girlfriend of the same self, you know, of my own ethnicity to be with and get married and so forth. I haven't got to that stage yet. I have been looking in Germany and Holland and the Netherlands, I should say, in Dutch first, sorry, so I apologise, and of course in Turkey. So by using the internet, of course, but I haven't succeeded because there's a lot of Turks, not only in the UK but in Germany, in the Netherlands, and in Turkey itself, abandoning who they are and favouring Western, mostly American. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. All I'm saying is, you know, it makes me really sad that people they starting to do things like this because it's diminishing. You know, how can I say this? But anyway, enough of that. So yeah. Anyway, I'll put it back to whoever's next.
No, I understand.
Can you guys understand what I'm saying? Or
yeah, to a degree. I can't necessarily empathize, but I can understand what like I can understand the dilemma that you're in. I mean, it's always horrible to see something.
It's a huge dilemma.
Yeah, I can.
You know, for me.
Yeah.
And there'd be other Turks who live in this country will beg to differ. If I talked about these things, what I talked about, they would just laugh in my face. You know?
Any specific reason for that kind of reaction? Because
they have been, well, I wouldn't say brainwashed, but they've been peer pressured into something attitude that is not compatible with who they really are. You know, I can't understand. You know, there's something that's changed them because of peer pressure from other youngsters.
Oh, they're being sold an image that's so counter to what they're actually supposed to be, or what. Yeah, not what they're supposed to be.
It's a Western image, though.
Yeah.
Like, this entirety of gangsterism is a Westernized perspective a lot of the way. Holding the gun sideways, for instance.
Yeah. Oh, drives me nuts. But, yeah, wannabe gangsterism, that involves, you know, getting involved in gang fights, stabbings, shootings, you know, things like that. And there's plenty happened.
Territory wars.
Yeah, and plenty of things happened like this in London. Because I live near London. I live in Essex, actually, but I'm very close to London. But I heard in the news many times that young Turks have been shot or stabbed because of wannabe gang warfare. Because they go to school full of wannabe gangsterized kids and they had no choice because of sociological peer pressure to become, because if they don't, they'll be bullied. If they get involved, they won't be bullied. So, it's like they're forcing them to abandon who they really are and get involved in this
misdemeanor.
Yeah. But when I talk about these things, people judge me and they say this and that to me, and so forth. And I don't care, to be honest with you, because I feel like I'm the one who hasn't been affected by this because I didn't let them to affect me.
But it has in a sense affected you quite heavily. If we really have to look deeply into this, I mean, considering your aside earlier in respect to the ability that like you can't necessarily find people like you at this point, it does affect you as heavily as it does. And I guess maybe it also possibly affects the way that you view other people who are younger, who have this mentality.
No, it's people around my age and younger.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to mention Mind on furry.fm side says pretty much something along the lines of people adapt to culture that they like. They also conformed with with their way of living. Or that conforms with the way that with their way of living. But the thing is that like, isn't it? And I don't know. Like, I would say, when it comes to that sort of idea that's coming forward from that, we look at, people, I guess, going against their parents in essence.
Yeah.
The rebellion stage, we can call it that, if we have to look at it from a purely psychological perspective, that in the teens we begin to try to explore the things that our parents don't want us to explore. And we find that connection with those things almost immediately because suddenly we're accepted. And I guess that's what furry does. And when the people are like very, very young, they're like, oh my God, this place is so accepting. I need to be able to follow this culture.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. No, go for it.
Well, I love the furry fandom because, as I said, I'm a passionate lover of cartoons, Western or Eastern or wherever it may be. I love cartoons ever since I was knee high to little grasshopper. I was like, it's a little saying here in the UK, when I was young, it's part of my life. I loved watching cartoons, and that's why this era spawned the furry fandom, and people drawing animals and so forth, and they love it. And we love animals. It's part of the human condition to love our fellow creatures, our animals and so forth, that roam the earth. We love our lions, we love our wolves, we love our cats and dogs and birds. And dragons, well, they're mythological, but there is a Komodo dragon. Anyway, but
yeah, let's not get into that.
Let's not open up that can of worms.
There was a person who recently opened up that can of worms on one of our things. Said like furries are going, no, but dragons aren't real. Or they're not
no.
They're not that. And you kind of sit there going like, no, that's, and like you kind of sit there going like, but this isn't. We're joking about it, obviously.
No.
The people who take it seriously,
No. Hear me out. I'm sure. I'm guessing that back in I don't know, in the earlier centuries, maybe dragons did exist. I'm not sure if there's been any evidence of this, but maybe dragons did exist in Europe or China or anything like that. But anyway. But what was I saying? I can't remember what I was talking about now.
You were talking about the Komodo dragon and how much we love our species.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Sorry, I've got such a short-term memory. What was I going with this? Damn. Sorry.
It happens.
Yeah. So what was the question you asked me before? You've forgotten as well. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
As did we, I think.
Yeah. Scratch. I think you've been formulating a question in your head for the last hour.
Have I?
Educate us.
So, yeah. Thanks for putting me on the spot, dickhead.
You're welcome.
Let me think.
Or any questions are welcome. So
Well,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, why do you think the community on your side is so young? Because we've been having an influx of young people coming to the South African furry community for a while as well. But there's, I mean, the dare I say, the old guard is still there. Is it the fact that there isn't an old guard in the Turkish scene, or what do you think is the cause of it?
okay, the youngsters who are in my generation, who grew up in the 80s and 90s.
Hmm.
Back in the day, Turkey was economically in the doldrums. Of course, there wasn't too much Western stuff around in the 80s and 90s. But when we went into the late 90s, into the millennium, Americanization started to come in, like McDonald's and KFC and Starbucks and all these cartoons from America coming in. But it had been since the 80s and 90s. But yeah, a lot of youngsters, they okay, in the anime I'm going off the tangent here, but as in the anime community in Turkey, it's been growing since 2008. And there's many Turkish youngsters who are into anime and Japanese stuff, who are in their late teens into their 20s, into mid 20s and so forth. But many of them I've spoken to, when I mentioned furry to them, they said to me, "Oh, furry fandom. Oh, sexual this, sexual that, this and that. Oh, yif, 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 and this and that." And that. I said, "No, the furry fandom is not all about that. There's more than that." They said, "No, but I've seen this, I've seen that." I said, "Yes, you may have seen that in this, but that was a minority of people. The furry fandom is not all about sex. It's not all about porn. It's not all about this and that, this and that. It's more than that. And the furry fandom, you identify as your own animal, anthropomorphic animal, real or not real. But it's just how can I explain this? But yeah, so basically, because I've seen these things, they have been scarred for life. They say, "Oh, I don't want to get involved with furry fandom. I heard you guys do this and do that." I said, "No, that's not true." So there needs to be some education. Maybe I can see. This is why I want to go to one of the big anime conventions in Turkey and promote the furry fandom and try to lure more people into the furry fandom
Don't
via
use the
the
term
anime
lure.
community. No, okay, not law, not law, not in a bad way. No.
Convince.
Okay, wrong word to use.
Attract.
Convince.
Hey, kid.
Attract.
Hey, kid.
No,
Y'all
no,
want
no,
some
no.
rare candy? Oh, yeah.
No. Sorry, wrong word
I
to
gotta
use.
poke a
Sorry.
stop in my van.
But yeah, oh god, oh
Yeah.
god. No. Anyway, yeah, I didn't mean it in a bad way, but anyway,
Yeah.
convincing me to get into the furry fandom. Then, okay.
Yeah.
So this is my plan, because in the West, in the UK, in America, many anime fans became furries, and I met many furries who are actually anime fans. Oh, they're a fan of Pokemon. Oh, they're a fan of Dragon Ball Z. Oh, they're a fan of this and that, this and that. I said, okay, so what got you into the furry fandom? I asked them, and they said, oh, I love anthropomorphic animals. And I love animals in general, and that's why I want to get into the furry fandom. That was one person that said to me. So yeah, so many. Well, I met furries who got into the fandom for other reasons, but we won't go into that. But yeah. So there's many reasons why people get into the furry fandom, and I love it, and that's it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, more often than not, you can't talk about like people going into the furry fandom without talking about the looming specter in the room,
Yeah,
so to speak.
yeah.
But I mean, the dark side of it is always like it's prevalent in all sort of subcultures, I suppose. I mean, hentai is there
Yeah.
for a reason.
Because of what?
Hentai is there for a reason. It pays the bills for someone. There's a market for it. So yeah.
Don't misunderstand me. I know when people say that sex sells and so forth and so forth. Don't misunderstand me, but I'm the kind of guy who's not really into sexualized things too much. I don't like it, and because I believe that when it comes down to family moral values, because of these things, they just go out the window. They just completely disappear overnight.
But even outside of the fandom, that's beginning to trend down these days in respect to what are moral values.
Yeah, I mean morals,
with
no morals and no lack of shame. You know, when it comes down to
is
things
it
that
shame though?
no, not shame. You know, like there's a lot of taboo things in the furry fandom which we won't go into. You know, and that's why a lot of people don't like us. You know, and you know, don't misunderstand me, but yeah.
No. Again, I understand that it seems like my questioning or the way that I'm approaching a lot of the subject seems to be like a misunderstanding. I'm just asking a question based off of what other people might ask, if you understand what I'm trying to say. So I'm
playing devil's advocate more
this,
than anything else.
Of course I'm playing devil's advocate. This is exactly what I do. This is how I work. So don't think that I'm disagreeing with you like wholeheartedly and I'm angry with you about something.
Definitely
I'm just
not.
asking a question that I believe people might want to ask based off of what you're saying. If you understand what I'm trying to get at.
Sorry, I don't understand what you're trying to get at.
I'm saying that don't think that my line of questioning is because I'm genuinely attempting to attack you.
No, of course not.
So all I'm saying is that like from my perspective, I'm just asking questions that may be asked within like maybe sort of like bouncing around in somebody's head at some point when they actually listen to this, and I'm hoping especially for afterwards, because then people can't necessarily like ask you directly, that kind of thing. So all I'm saying is, so it's not about misunderstanding from my side or anything like that. I think I understand you quite well. I'm just asking questions for people who might misunderstand the point.
Yeah.
If you get what I'm saying.
No. Yeah. I mean, yeah, look, I'm not taking any offense. I'm not arguing. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I'm a passionate guy. When it comes down to things, I talk passionately. I'm not being angry. It may seem like that, but no, I'm not. Please.
No. Again, we do understand completely, I think.
Yeah. So when it comes down to furry fan, I've got other hobbies. When it comes to the furry fandom, I'm passionate. When it comes to down to anime, I'm passionate. Also, when it comes down to one of my other hobbies, ham radio or amateur radio, I'm passionate. So yes, that's another thing I do, by the way. And yes, so yeah, I there's so many geeky nerdy things that I love. And
there are a couple of hammers down here, actually.
For furries?
Yeah.
Yes. There's plenty of us over here as well in the UK. And there's about 22 of us. And we're all going to a big radio rally next weekend. So we're going to do a little fur meet there.
That sounds cool.
So, yeah. But yeah, someone's mentioned about isn't the definition changed to Anthro? Well, in the beginning it was called Anthro, but you know, somewhat.
It's actually me asking that question.
Oh, sorry. see, Anthro and furry are somewhat intermixed. They're intermixed because the Anthro animal part of things. Because I remember I met a couple of artists at one of the big expos here. Okay. Sorry, Raccoon. But right. I met a couple of Anthro artists back a few years ago, and when they were drawing Anthro animals, they said to me, I asked them, "Are you furries?" And I said, "No, we're just Anthro artists." I said, "Okay, but isn't it related?" You know, somewhat, but they don't want to. These artists didn't want to identify themselves as furry. They want to identify them as Anthro artists, and I think, well, what's the blooming difference? You know, there isn't much difference because they're Anthro animals. In furry, we love Anthro animals. What's the difference?
I always make reference to a guy on Raccoon mentions that they're just in denial. But like, and I do understand that point or that perspective. But the thing is that like, in the west corner of the park, there's a guy who tends to be there very often. His name is Alan, and he is a talking,
Sack of flour.
what seems to be ethereal sack of flour.
What, you mean a homeless person?
No, a sack of flour, an actual talking sack of flour.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. Okay.
Wow.
No. What? Sorry.
A sack of flour, homeless person.
How did you make that connection?
Well,
I don't know.
Well, you said there's someone in the park, but yeah, you know.
Oh,
It's the west corner of the park at the muck.
yeah, on the furry muck, not like an actual park.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I misunderstood that one.
Let's just clarify for people who are not muck dwellers, like you and I, or like I used to be.
I don't go on furry muck.
Yeah.
I don't go on what's the other website?
Taps.
Ink Bunny. No way.
Ink Bunny. Okay, what's wrong with Ink Bunny? Okay, fair enough. I'm not gonna ask that question.
Shush.
Yeah.
As Dark mentions, no, guys, it's my Zootopersona.
Oh God.
This happens. This
Yeah,
is an absolute thing that happens.
I know.
I'm very upset by it.
The fucking. I mean, ever since the Zoot opening, it's just gonna keep going.
Scratch the Zoot opening.
That's what it was.
Next, oh my God! No, I mean, everybody loves, like, when it came out. Obviously, what was that? Spirit styling out of the Cimarron. What are you gonna call that? The Cimarronian.
Yeah. Well, I don't think
Everybody became horses.
I don't think everyone did. It wasn't as
The Smogoning for dragons.
well. Yeah, I don't think fucking Spirit of the Cimarron was quite as resonated with as many people. Well, I say resonate, like caused an influx in like horse personas. As much as just like Zootopia in general brought new like
Furries.
new blood to the.
Hold on, guys. Guys, I've got some information for you.
Please share.
Somebody told me some of the artists who created Zootopia, the art side of things, are actually furries.
I would not be surprised in the slightest.
Yeah.
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 I'm not joking.
Look, yeah. No, I can only agree with this, and that's the best part. In fact, Scratch, we were trying to get somebody who was from DreamWorks.
Ooh.
Who was in the DreamWorks animation point that was actually also a furry.
Ooh.
But he didn't mention this. And that's gonna be. I need to push his buttons again.
Push them buttons.
Push those buttons. Oh yeah.
Not like that. Shut up. Are you in, man?
I am in a relationship.
Are you in?
Hou my in.
Ja, are you in?
Wel, miskien 'n bietjie later. Jy later.
Moving along swiftly.
Fuss. Little bit of Afrikaans banter. Yeah. So, granted, yes, I do want to ask, actually, like, you've obviously had a little bit of a back and forth in respect to the younger furs in the Turkish, because maybe I want to see whether there is.
Yes, I remember now. Yeah, we was talking about this. Yeah, I got it back. I got my train of thought back. Yes, you were mentioning
this. It took us 20 minutes to get here.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so basically, well, this is the reason, as I said, we talked about this, as I said, the older generation, they see as a furry fandom is, well, someone told me that furry fandom was evil, but I debated that one with them. Yeah, I said to him, it's not evil. It's a fantastic fandom. It's been going since the 80s or maybe before then. Yeah, it's a fantastic fandom. It's no different to the anime fandom in terms of what. But yeah, so I don't know. It's just I'm trying to look for Turkish potential Turkish furries who in their late teens into their 20s but it's very difficult. I haven't found many yet.
Well,
it's just. I think these youngsters have come out from the youngsters who are becoming more westernized, Western-minded compared to later generations of youngsters in Turkey.
I would expect good conversations between those youngsters and maybe, in fact, asking them to start looking, like create the network. I know that, for instance, if we look at our young furs, they're very, very active in like talking about their fact that they're furry in high school and this and that. And yeah, granted, they come back with like thousands of pages of drama, but like the thing is, look, it comes with the territory. It's just it's how it's going to be up until the point that everybody starts realizing that we're not really that bad. And if I look at every single sort of like mainstream media site that actually does cover it, yeah, they've got a giggle about it. But at the end of the day, a lot of the time they say, well, we're mostly harmless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's good. That's fine for me. I like the fact that mostly harmless is the term.
You get some of these furs who gives us a bad name. They go onto the media and they blurt out things that's going to ruin us in the public domain.
Yeah, and we stop them. There's no way that we should, and there's no way that we should be able to do that. If they want to say what they want to say, then they also just have to say it from an individual perspective rather than but the entire community is like this.
Did you hear the story of, I don't know if you guys heard of Tycho Ozzy?
Don't think I did.
He's an American furry. He came. I showed Raccoon the pictures when I was doing my talk.
The guy with is that the guy with the fursuit?
It was the Aussie dog persona. He travels mostly to Central Asia and to Turkey for his job, and he actually fursuited on the streets of Turkey in Istanbul. And I forgot to mention this on my talk. When he was walking on the streets of Istanbul, there was the first time any of the public ever seen a fursuiter or even a furry. And then what happened? No, it turned out fantastically brilliant. What happened is walking down the street, and these people coming out of their stores because it's walking down shops, and they were offering tea, they were offering money, they were offering water, they were offering everything. You know, the kids went up to him and gave him a hug, and even when they went to Azerbaijan, the kids there saw him and they wanted to hug him and talk to him. And so when he was in Istanbul streets, walking on the streets of Istanbul, many of the people on the streets were very happy to see this fursuiter. And if I did the same, I've never fursuited on the streets of Istanbul yet, but if I did, my God, is it going to cause a public attention? And you know, the media cameras might come out, and you know, might see a few, hello?
Erik? I think he might have stepped out for a second.
Oh, right, okay. What's happening?
Stop my cat.
Oh, okay. Cat.
I thought that I put the microphone on like a stable surface, and apparently I didn't. It fell.
So this guy was popular on the streets of Istanbul, and if I did the same, oh my God, it's going to cause a wow. So it's going to be a good positive reaction, but I haven't done it yet. I'm hoping to do it next year sometime, and I want to, you know, the public to see furries over there for the first time. But my parents are saying to me not to do it because something might happen to me. But I said, no, nothing's going to happen to me. You know, they're worried about me, of course. But they don't want me to take my fursuit to Turkey, but I don't care. I'm going to take it. So there you go.
Yeah, you do you, man. I mean, I think it would be really cool. But I mean, yeah, you can't always predict the reaction. Maybe it was just a good day in particular that Tycho Ozzy guy managed to get the reaction that he got. I mean, you never know, unfortunately.
Something happening on Ivik's side. There's some kind of noise coming in.
I think it's the fan. Might be the fan.
I think I apologize. I apologize.
You think you apologize?
It's also the cat is just being a nuisance. She wanted to get into my closet so that she can get into my bag. Which is pretty much what happened. Yeah.
My cat is very annoying as well.
I don't think it's me so much. I think Doge just tells me that we're cutting out a little bit.
Is it?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the stream seems to be going fine here. Not too many dropped frames though, but yeah. Oh, it seems we did cut out.
Mine says that we're on furry.fm we're fading
Just
in
to
and
let
out.
you know, guys,
Okay.
just to let you know, we have a couple of my fellow Turkish furries are listening to this podcast now.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Awesome. Is that Rohan the werewolf, a candy feline, and so on?
No, not Rohan. Rohan is a friend of mine in the UK. He's a young furry. He went to Eurofrance with me. Well, not with me, but yeah, he's here in the UK. There's a few young ladies in Turkey listening to us now, furries, and yeah, iyi akşamlar, which is good evening for in Turkish. So
how close is Turkish to Arabic?
Okay. Now, many people misunderstand this. They think that the Turkish language is related to the Arabic language. No, it isn't. The Turkish language in its own right belongs to the Altaic language group. Now, as I said, I mentioned those other countries that used to be part of the Soviet Union. Now, those languages are related to the Turkish language. We Turks came from a long way. Going back to the days of Genghis Khan and so forth, because the Mongols and the Turks formed unions in those times. And when the Turks emigrated from Central Asia to the Caucasus and into Anatolia, which where Turkey is now, that's how the Turks came into Turkey and populated the area, drove out the indigenous people, and became and then the Turks settled in little tribal groups, and then afterwards they all came together and formed the famous Ottoman Empire, and that lasted for so many hundreds of years, so the Turks came a long way. The Altaic language group is all related to those countries I mentioned earlier, and there's debates that the Altaic language group are related to Korean and Japanese.
Ooh, interesting.
So it's definitely not it's not from the original Proto-Indo-European languages. It's more from the Asians.
Modern Turkish.
The Asiatic license.
Modern Turkish is mixed of French and Arabic loanwords because of
so it is Proto-Indo-European in a sense. It's mixed into it. It's moved towards Proto-Indo-Europeanism.
Modern Turkish. Modern Turkish is a mixture of Arabic, French, and other loanwords. And some of the old Turkic words were brought back after the Ottoman Empire failed. The Ottoman Turkish was different to modern-day Turkish. It had more Arabic influences in Ottoman Turkish. But before the Ottoman days, the Turkic language before the Ottoman days were more related to the languages of those countries I mentioned in Central Asia. So there's a huge history there of us for Turks. The Turks are all over the world, and we are a big group around the world. Obviously, there's some Turkic peoples that live inside Ukraine, in Russia. There's a group that live in China, but they've been persecuted by the Chinese for many decades now. As I said, so if you look into Russia, there's a few, what's the word I'm looking for? Oblasts that Turkic in origin, but they're part of the Russian Federation, of course. But anyway, so there's a big. We're everywhere, we Turks, and So the Turks are not only the Turks of Turkey are the not. Say that again. The Turks of Turkey are not the only Turks in the world, as I said.
Yeah, but I mean, and I guess that has a lot to do with the fact that you guys have moved out because of probably specifically political reasons, trying to
About from
find.
what?
Well, I mean, from where Turkey originally was, considering that there's a heavily Russian influence there. A lot of people moved out in the 70s and the 60s and the 50s, before what one
Hold
could
on, hold on.
consider to be. Yeah,
Hold on, Russian
I'm
influence. Russian influence where? Which country are you talking about?
many.
No, no, no. There was never been a Russian influence in Turkey. I was talking about those Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan,
Yeah,
Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan. They
yeah,
were
but
under the Soviet Union, but no longer. They're independent.
but they were Turkish states to begin with.
Turkic states.
Turkic,
Yeah,
fair enough.
it's a difference. Anyway, sorry. But
Maybe just explain this difference to me between Turkic and Turkish.
well, Turkish is the right word for the Republic of Turkey. When it comes down to, well, in those countries I mentioned, you've got Azeri, you've got Kazakh, you've got Uzbek, Turkmen, but they're part of the Turkic peoples.
But they're not
So,
Turkish.
no, they're not Turkish, but they're Turkic people. So it's related to Turkish. But Turkish people are Turkic people, if it makes sense. So
fair. No. I understand that.
Yeah. Okay, I got it.
So yeah. So that's why once I've completed my mission to bring the furry fandom to Turkey, I will concentrate on those countries next.
How do you intend to do this? What is your yeah?
Well, we have the internet. I will find people. I will find. You start with anime fans and so forth.
But where I'm sort of going with this line of questioning is, for instance,
there isn't anywhere to target.
You've already mentioned, I guess, to an extent, the fact that there is a difference between your views and other people's, and other people who are Turkish or Turkic views in respect to the way that they've been westernized towards certain ideas, ideologies, and the fact that you won't necessarily be able to find somebody who is like-minded to you within the furry fandom or within the Turkish.
No, I doubt it.
Turkic furry fandom.
Oh look, we got a comment from one of my fellow. Yeah. Anyway,
could you read that out to me quickly? Sorry, I would probably destroy it.
Well, it's the same in what it's in brackets.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I'd like you to say it in your in.
Okay, Seviyorsun Tarkan abi. That means we love you, Tarkan. Tell me what that means is Tarkan abi like a brother. So abi means brother. So Seviyorsun, we love you, Tarkan abi.
Okay, that's it.
So the youngsters when they address people that are older than them, they say. So when they address people that when they're older than them, they call them Tarkan abi, or if I was a woman, they call me Zeynep abla. So if that was a woman, but yeah. So Zeynep is a Turkish woman's lady's name, but anyway. So there's an example. So yeah.
Oh, that's interesting, but. Back to our point here. I mean, you've already noted that there is a difference between your background and the background of the people who are becoming furries within the areas that you want to be able to influence. How do you intend to bridge that gap?
Well, it would take time. I mean, you mean those other countries? You mean I mentioned?
Yeah, as well as your own.
Okay. Well. It's going to be hard work. As I said, once I establish the furry fandom proper in Turkey, I will work. My next country will be Azerbaijan, and then Kazakhstan, and so forth. Those are the next countries on my list. As for Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan, Unfortunately for those countries, they've got so many problems in those countries. I doubt they'll get a furry fandom anytime soon. But when it comes down to Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan, those countries are next. We will see.
Would you look more west?
What do you mean?
Considering I know a furry from old Bosnia, Herzegovina.
Yes, those countries like Kosovo, Bosnia, Albania. As far as I know, there is no furry fandom in Albania. I don't know anyone from Albania. But there is a furry fandom in Greece. You've got Greek Yoshi, if you know him. He's the founder of the Greek furry fandom. He said to me, as Eurofurence, he's lost faith in his fellow Greek furs because of the drama and so forth and everything. I said, I turned around and said to him, Yoshi, Greek Yoshi, listen to me. Don't give up, my friend. You know, you have to carry on, ignore it, and down the months and years, you will find more Greek furries who want to get into the fandom. Don't worry about these people. Just carry on, I told him. Don't give up, because if you give up, it's going to fall apart. You cannot let that happen, because you started something special, you know.
You're placing a large amount of, I guess, one would probably call it like pressure, I guess, when you're saying don't give up, don't. Like,
I'm not pressuring.
But in that same sense, I understand that you're not actively trying to do that, but I mean, I guess people could obviously see that as a little bit of pressure at times.
I'm not pressuring anyone. I'm just trying to encourage them not to give up. That's all.
Yeah. But if he's the only person who seems to be working towards things, much like you feel that you are the only person.
I'll never give up.
Any case, so this guy's from Serbia. Oddly enough, George is his name here. I'm not going to give the rest of it because that's. I can actually say his name, which is amazing, but I don't necessarily want to at this point. But the thing is that he's from Serbia, and I think he mentions that there are like 3 other furries in Serbia, like proper.
Yes.
At this point, would you consider working with other people within those areas to be able to, in their own right, begin or try to promote the entirety of the furry? The furry, I say.
Okay, right. I'm willing to work with anybody in countries where the furry fandom doesn't exist. Well, in Turkey, the furry fandom is in its proto stages, in its baby stages right now. I'm nowhere near the status of most countries in the West. But you got there is a furry fandom in Bulgaria. There is a furry fandom in Romania. You know, the Romanian furries. The Romanian furries are building their fandom there quite fast, and that's because of dedication from the founder and from the fellow furries there. But my fellow furries in Turkey, yes, they in my group. I'm trying to build a website. I'm not getting anywhere with it because I suck with web design. But I'm trying my best to build a website. I asked furries
Once
for
again,
help.
I think we do have some people who might actually be interested in your cause. We'll look around, obviously. Well, I mean, we do have a couple of people who do a little bit of web design here and there who'd possibly be able to help around, at least with design issues or this issue or that issue. What we can do is we'll forward those people to you if they're willing, of course.
Yeah, of course. But I asked some of the UK first to help me. They're not interested. And
okay.
Yeah, you know, yeah. So basically, I have the web domain, I have the server, web hosting. I just need to build a site, get it going, because once the website is built, this will help the furry fandom to shoot into the sky and grow in Turkey. And of course, we've got a Facebook group, and we have, as I said, nearly 110 members. And I would love to ask them guys to help me. But as I said, so far it hasn't materialized. and I'm doing most of the work. But there is one young 18-year-old furry who's actually from America. He's actually in Turkey right now. He found himself a nice Turkish girlfriend who's a furry. They're a nice little couple, and yeah, and he said he would help me, but I haven't heard much from him since.
Yeah, well.
But yeah. So anyway, so I hope I'm not boring you. But yeah. So yeah. So there you go.
You're definitely not boring us, but we are stepping on towards the end of the show, though.
Oh.
Yeah, no. Look, it's definitely been a very, very good talk, and I think we're definitely going to have you on again to sort of, because I mean, I think there's a large amount of topics that we might not necessarily have touched on that would actually be interesting to touch on, and we really, really, we thank you very, very much for your sort of perspectives and everything like that. And definitely, like a lot of things that do need to be done in the Turkish community to be able to get, I guess, a viable way of opening up even further towards the rest of the world. And I think that's important for all of us. I mean, in South Africa, there's a lot of work to be done down here. I mean, and the drama is real. We know that it exists, but it's mostly because, I guess, like the term "Pawdcast" gets thrown around a lot. For instance, it's that kind of perspective, and I think, for instance, I think we do necessarily need to have a more wide-ranging chat in respect to this, and I think that would be great. Maybe if you could find people from, say, other places for us, I would love to be able to hear a more, I guess, open discussion on this. Like, say we have ambassadorial, so like people who are willing to speak with, or in a public format about this kind of perspective, so that we can have a look at all of the different, I guess, challenges that come with smaller and growing communities. And yeah, like I said, I mean, like I would love that to happen. I think that George would possibly be very, very interested in actually being on the podcast. I've been pushing that for a while now, and then I just stopped talking to him. I don't think I've spoken to him for about 1.5 years now. It's no fault of mine. Just work got in the way, and a whole bunch of other things got in the way, and I got in the way of myself. How does that happen? Sorry.
You are quite clumsy.
So again, I'm very clumsy. I trip over my own feet sometimes.
Exactly.
I say extremely controversial things in classes sometimes. In fact, sorry, sometimes all the time.
You're not
but
fired
it's
yet.
necessary to speak about. I'm not fired yet. That's the best part of it. Yeah. Anyway. So yeah. Thank you so much for being on here. We're definitely going to have you on again for like maybe either an update chat or definitely a wider look at other people and their issues, and maybe even having like, I don't know, like I always have these ideas in my head where we'll be able to go for 10 hours with like some sort of like small furry conference. Small group furry conference. Like Raccoon would be on here, you'd be on here. Myself and Scratch would try to be moderators. We'd all die.
Yes, if you read what my fellow Turkish furry has written, so there you go. They're proud of me.
Yeah. And, no, that's great. Yay. That's absolutely amazing. I think that's good work from your side. Like, I mean, we ourselves have grown like in the past 2 years by over 200 furs. And I think that's also, hopefully, sometimes they realize that south-afrifur is out there, and they're like, holy shit, what happened? So what I could also say is maybe start a podcast.
Yes.
Get the word out.
So yeah, thank you for having me. I do appreciate it. Hopefully we can touch on topics, other topics relating to the furry fandom, and I'll be more than happy to come on next time.
Yeah, no doubt.
Awesome.
But yeah, no, we'll definitely be in talks. I mean, we have you on Skype now, so I'll poke you every now and again and say like, hey, give me an opinion on this or whatever. So I tend to do that with some of our guests. But yeah, otherwise we'll definitely get in touch with you again about, how things are going, like a small update, maybe end of the year, maybe have a look at whatever. But I think that'd be a great idea. So anyway, bombshell somewhere around the way. Yes, that's the thing that I needed to do. I keep forgetting that I need to do this. Thank you to the people who were listening. That'd be Rohan the Werewolf, Kinkin ZA, Waffles, Candy Feline, Raven's Song came on very, very late. She says that her time zone is wrong, even though she's also in Britain. It's absolutely funny. I find this to be absolutely funny. Dark was listening. Did I mention Dark?
Isn't it daylight savings or some shit?
Both of them are in exactly the same damn time zone.
I don't know. I don't know how that dumb thing works.
They're an hour behind, not 2 hours behind. At this point, yes, daylight savings. Rakuin, obviously. Dan Wolf. Did I mention Dan Wolf?
No.
So nice. I got to mention him twice. No, not yet. Okay. Tugrul Khan. I have no idea how to say that. Tugrul.
Turul.
That
The G is silent on the Turkish alphabet.
Okay. Owen Snowden was also listening at some point. Sparky was not listening. Sparky's from Friday, oddly enough. And then from the furry.fm side, we had Bravura was listening, Mind was listening, Wolfie was listening, Revax was listening, 913 was listening, Knusp was listening, Guest 864 and Guest 92 were both listening. And then from people on Telegram who've been chatting to me at this point, Dan Leo and Badger Cat have been listening so far, as what I know. I hopefully have covered all of the names that we had. Aside from that, probably within the next 5 to 10 minutes, go to furry.fm. Those of you who are listening from First Stream side, check us out on the music stream. We're going to be streaming a little bit of music on that side, doing a little bit of radio work. I'll be working up until about 12 till midnight. And yeah, you're more than welcome to have a listen. And yeah, from my side, Ivik, thank you guys for listening. Thank you very much again. Is it Tarkan, was it?
Yeah, Tarkan the Wolf, yeah.
Tarkan, okay. I somehow added that in a completely different manner. Okay, so yes, thank you very much for being on the podcast with us. We'd definitely have you on again. Scratch,
I'm still here.
Amazing work. Yeah, you're still alive. Woo!
Yeah,
check us out.
No, never mind. I was gonna bitch.
Given your silence.
Given my work week, I'm surprised I'm still alive this week.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anywho.
Given the bitch factor of my own work, I have much to bitch about. Britain, fuck you. Anyway.
Okay. Okay. So on that bombshell.
On that bombshell, check us out on furry.fm. We're gonna have a lot of music coming in from that side. And yeah, cheers, guys.
Cheers, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.